Hello, welcome to this level 4 wrap-up video. My name is Allie with A. Speaks, and this video is, as titled, a wrap-up, a quick attempt for me to just sum up the topics of level 4 within my energetic system series, and also introduce and sort of segue into what level 5 will be talking about. If you're brand new, welcome. You can certainly watch this and get a little glimpse of what is included in the series or in the course, whatever way that you're visiting and reading this material or watching, unless you're reading and looking at the course books, of course. Anyways, this is level 4, and so hopefully if you're just bumping into this, maybe on social media, I hope it'll inspire you to start down at level 1 and go through the whole sequential set of videos, I guess. Here in 4, the topic has been our external systems. The external portion of the toroidal of energy that flows around us. Now, that's a lot of words, right? But here within the Energetic Systems series, we're really working to understand these more scientific words. You know, I hate to even put that kind of white coat word on it, but it's important also that we lose the stigma around these more defined terms, and we release the shackles that only experts, only these people with degrees, and these, if you only have like a PhD or a master's, or you have some kind of letters after your name, are you allowed to actually talk in these words and use them and know what they mean, you know? I really find that kind of assumption silly and also foolish and a tad bit stupid. So let's try to get away from that, and don't allow yourself even, right, to get trapped into these sort of things that we tell ourselves, like I can't listen to this because I don't know what she's talking about, or this is way too advanced for me, or this is, you know, woo-woo, or too metaphysical, or, you know, too scientific. Sometimes people hear these kind of words and they're immediately turned off. And I'm really hoping with this series to get out of that and to bring these terms and functions and processes and everything down to a level where everyone and anyone can listen and understand. Because at the end of the day, we are all doing these things on our own already. It's not that you can't get it, and it's not that you need any sort of prerequisite knowledge in order to start learning about this, because we're all, from the moment that we start life, are doing these processes, you know. So my hope and my largest inspirations, I guess, are to allow people to start using words like this and listening to concepts like this, and not kind of shying away from it like it's too nuanced, you know. But anyways, I talked a lot about that in level 1, so if you're not new, then you've already been through this kind of rodeo with me, and you know a bit about what I'm talking about. But if you are kind of new, or if you've just caught this, level 1, I spent a lot of time talking about stuff like that, and verbiage, terminology, defining things, talking about kind of the basics of what we build upon in this series, and breaking away from those preconceptions of these sort of definitions, or chaotic, confusion that we just assume, oh, it's too much for me. I don't want to even learn about that. With all of that said, I kind of say that to get back to the toroidal around us and what level 4 has been about, right? In the series in general, right? The hope here is that by now we've sort of understood that we're energetic beings, and that we have this, or these many different layers of processes and transactions that are taking place energetically. And we've walked through the inner core, which I feel is the most important part, which has been sort of through 2 and 3, a little bit here and there, but mostly 3 is dedicated to the inner core, right? So now in 4, we are talking about the external toroidal, and 4 has really been about first remembering that everything that happens in the external torus of energy, all the information and energy that's out there to work with and use, is and does pass through the center of the vortex, right? This is the motion, of course, and this center channel is the inner core, right? So getting to understand that these two systems, how you think about yourself, how you relate to yourself, and your inner workings, how those have a great impact on everything that you can offer out externally, anything that you could be a part of. It all starts from within and then has a sort of ripple effect into the external toroidal. Remembering and hearkening back to that was very important, especially at the start of level 4. I spent like 2 videos, really getting us back to basics before we look at external things. And I'm kind of leaving 4 as an intro and a basic tour of the tip of the iceberg only with external service, because it's huge and it's complicated and complex. And also right now, with everything that's happening, everyone is changing a lot, and there's a lot happening, and so it's very easy to get lost, distracted, and be more of a hindrance in getting your own way out there than to just focus and do the inner work and let that inner knowledge guide you in the way that you need to go, instead of looking to the outside world for markers and signs and following that and going where that might lead you. That's a very sketchy place to try to navigate through right now. And I'm sure everybody knows in their own different ways about the spectrum of many distortions happening outside right now. And so that's why, with this whole series, the focus has been inside. But with level 4, we turn our lens to external things. And the external in itself, for everybody and anyone who wants to hear just a quick wrap up, right? The torus around us has 3 workings, right? And it has the inner, the outer, and the flow, or the transactions in between, mind, body, and spirit. And I went into those with the layers and all of that in level 4 really deeply to get people in touch with those. But just for sort of walk through here, the 3 portions of your service all work together to create what we call service alignment. And that really has a polarity options to it. So it's much like the inner core. The external service is made up of processes. The processes follow the instructions and directions of polarity. And the polarities, instructions, directions are created within the creator consciousness, within the inner core, within the spirit layer. This flow, this intangible conscious connection, it's very mysterious. It's supposed to be, we're not supposed to be tying these things down. It's a creation of manyness, right? So it's not about forcing things to show themselves and be as they should be or expected to be. It's about watching what happens and allowing and seeing in the creation. So when we talk a lot about external systems and talk about service, we can tend to get very wrapped up in others' perceptions of us and their work and external systems, and measuring ourselves against them. And that is, like I said at the start, dangerous place to get at. We really don't want to encourage that. That's kind of why we're in the place that we're in right now. But again, it's important to look at those systems and to look at that. And that's what I offered in level 4 as a bit of a way to identify your intentions of how you're interacting and how you are running that external service, in order to get better results of what your expectations are, and to not be as tricked up in running this negative system of needing and wanting and being very thinking of yourself, and then wondering, why you're having, a lot of negativity around you, why everything you're building isn't working out, why there's more disruptions and chaos than there is like smooth sailing and building, right? Why is there more drama than there is gathering good times, right? And that's because of the truths that we tell ourselves, and that's because the initial alignment within the inner core is negative. You've caused an inversion with yourself, and you're seeking in the wrong direction. But that's why you're not getting what you want, right? So hopefully people will be listening more and aligning with their intentions and what they truly want before involving themselves in service. So you get what you want better, you get what you expect more likely. And simultaneously, others feel the transparency and honesty within you and your seeking, and they will respond. They will trust you more. They'll offer better opportunities. They're more likely to be, grateful, gracious, admirable, all of these kind of things that you want others to probably feel for you, just like you want to feel for others. You'll get those more tangible results when you fix the actual inner working first. Because like I said, the Taurus, the Torito that we use is totally reliant on the instructions that are set, that are already in place. So yeah, my main point with level 4 is understanding, yes, of course, there is a service to others and a service to self path. There is these sort of alignments, and there's a positive and negative flow to them, and they have an energetics and a polarity to them. But the important part is to remember to not get so wrapped up in the external presentation of them and think that you have to go meet them and be a part of these external things, when the real key is to do the work within, and then you are drawn to those like things externally, and those external things are drawn to you by a like resonance. And the work is much different. I hope that you can hear the intentional difference in that, which has been sort of, I really went into more detail throughout level 4, so if you are new, you could totally check out those other videos to get more. But I try to keep these wrap-up videos really quick, between 10 and 20 minutes. So I'm going to pretty much leave that part of it there, and just to the last bit to speak about with the external services, is that it's not just about others out there. It's not just about the world that's already set up and all of these industries and systems that are sort of placed out there that we're made to feel like we have to go be a part of. That's a slice of the pie, but it's not really even close to, a quarter of the importance here. And I've really kind of gone through the different sections in level 4 as well, to think about other things that have to do with the external world, how we meet the external world, how we treat our body vessel. That is a huge world of working in itself, and that is literally the external system. You meet the outside world with your body, and that happens in many different ways. There's so many transactions and interactions. There's like tangible physiological anatomy between the skin and interacting with the outside world. There's eating and breathing. There's all the things that go along with that. There's the taking in of new nutrients from the outside world and bring them into your world and using them as resources within you. There's also the inner workings that pass things out to the outside world, right? That's also how you meet the outside world. So it's not only what comes in from the outside world, right? But it's how we pass out through to the outside world as well. And then, of course, the harmony and the mechanisms between the two workings, of course, is that third and final portion, that spirit flow. But within that, right, we still have like the immune system. We have all of these beautiful inner workings within our body that their sole function is to deal with that which comes up from the outside world of otherness and bring it in and find a place for it, And that's a huge working in itself, especially if you are facing chronic illness or any sort of disease within the body. Learning to get in there and to see how you're meeting the outside world, what you're doing with the nutrients that are brought in from outside, what are the rules those systems and processes are processing with, because that plays a huge role in impact in how your inner system receives those, and where those nutrients and resources go within your body. Are they allowed to be used? Are they hoarded? There's so many nuances in there. And then, of course, we have this other interaction with the other that's like how you move through the day. That is not about the physicality of the body, but it's about the energetics of the body, right? And it's there's a electrical impulses to be dealt with and to be listened to and interpreted, right? And of course, we have the spirit layer within there that also has more to do with the intentions and the collections between the transactions that you're doing, right? Is it a positive leftover collection or a negative leftover charge in your little banking model? And what are you doing with that overall surplus or debt? How do all the workers work with that in their mind? That sets rules in itself. So breaking all of these down, seeing these different ways that, we meet the external world has been a big portion of level 4. So if this type of stuff interests you and you're just jumping in now, I'd really love it if you would take a look at the start of level 4, or even go down to 1 and start from the beginning. If you're not brand new and you've been following along, I just want to give a quick segue here at the end as to what we're going to turn our gaze at now and sort of transition into with level 5. For those of anyone who is sort of audience and watching, I'm going to turn and recircle around back to external service, polarity, and sort of the spirit layer deeper once we talk about what we're going to bring into focus for level 5, which is just a brief understanding and introduction to the ether, plasma, this intangible combination of infinite intelligence, of organization and design that makes up the plane or the ether space around us. There's many different words for this, and I don't really tag it down, and I'm not one of those white coats where I wear a badge of a certain person and I really believe their theory and say that this is like the theory and I go for that one. I like to listen to a lot of different theories and hear the truths within them, sort of like a buffet style, and cherry pick what I like and what resonates with me. And so I'm going to encourage others to do that. Hopefully in level 5, introduce a couple of resource references, third-party people that talk a lot about what I am bringing forth here, and give them as, in case anybody is interested inside learning or wants to hear things right from the horse's mouth instead of hearing my interpretation of stuff. I want to offer out just like a starting point for people if anyone is interested in learning more around the quantum physics, metaphysics, bringing in some literature and some understandings from the late 1900s, perhaps, before 1920, before the whole takeover and the hijacking of sort of the Rockefeller industry and across everything from, food to pharma to the doctors. They sort of have a huge influence in all of the literature and all the learning that's been allowed and promoted, especially through the mainstream, throughout the whole of the 1900s, 20th century, basically. So I'm going to take it back to the 19th century a little bit and bring forth some really amazing thinkers that have been really inspiring to me, and then also some newer people who are bringing forth new things that are really inspiring as well, that sort of parallel or harken back to those early innovators and really ingenious thinkers from that time. So yeah, that's where we're headed for level 5, is to talk about the plane of existence, or the field, or the ether, whatever kind of thing you want to talk about, but what the playscape is. And when I bring in the playscape near the end of level 5, after we talk about sort of the presentation of reality, what I'd like to also draw parallels to and introduce is the imagination space. and we can talk a bit about what that really is, and the void, and the spirit realm, and how we connect out to Akashic Records, Conscious Collective, whatever you want to call imagination space. That's what I like to call it. But I'll get into that a little bit deeper. Obviously, we get through level 5. But that's where we're headed. So thank you so much for joining me for this quick sort of 20-minute wrap-up instead of 10. But I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope if you're new here that I've inspired you to listen and check out some other videos. You can also find me always on Telegram. I have a podcast over on Spotify if you're interested and you like to listen to those. You can always find me directly on my website, obviously, amariespeaks.com, where I have a plethora of free information, tips, and tools on all things introspection, spirituality, and happiness. So again, thank you so much for your audience. Thank you for your contribution to our collective. Thank you for witnessing mine, as always. I will catch you next time.